Hello and welcome
to Red, White, and Bi, episode 38.
I'm Ash.
And I'm Hannah, and here we are. 38, though, that's crazy. I really, it feels fast, and at the same time, I really thought this was 40.
It's like our lives.
It's almost exactly like our lives. We've been saying we're 40 for 3 or 4 years now.
And we're not yet. But I always think of when Harry met Sally, she's like, and I'm going to be 40. And he's like, in 8 years. And she's like, but it's there.
It's looming in the distance.
It is looming. But I say we're aging like a fine wine or a good cheese, so I'm happy about it.
Speaking of looming in the distance, I feel like I'm having a little trouble projecting, and I might cough a little bit. Guys, we're in Michigan, and Canada is on fire. And it's for real. Like, we got an alert on our phones yesterday.
And today.
Oh, I didn't get one today. I guess I don't count today. I didn't get one today. You got one?
Yeah, my butt started buzzing when I was at the gas station, and I was like, what the heck? And I was hoping that maybe it was like a client, and it turned out that it was just, you're slowly dying. You're being poisoned by your neighbors to the north.
Commies. No, but that's so weird I didn't get one. But yesterday, at least when it went off, I was just reading something on my newsfeed that said that it's equivalent to being outside yesterday was equivalent to smoking a pack of cigarettes, and that it was the worst air quality on the planet at that time.
And all that is passing through my gourd now is that maybe without smoking, because I have a lot of allergies and asthma, I'll finally sound like Julie London.
I don't know, man. I felt it in my throat, and I feel like a little spacey today.
I definitely feel it in my throat. And I had to take my rescue inhaler. But I'm glad that you remembered that this is even happening, because it's a national news story, and I was just like talking with Hannah about some topics we could talk about, and it didn't even cross my mind.
It crossed my mind just because I feel like a little weird and panicky about it. Like, there's nowhere to go. It's pretty decent inside of our house. Like, as long as you're on the first level and not in the basement, it's not too bad. But even my place of work, like, you can see a little bit of haze in the hallways. You can definitely smell it. I have one little area of the lab that has an air filter. And when I transition out of there into the rest of the lab, like, you smell the difference. And that's with an N95 on. I've been wearing an N95 because I'm, paranoid.
I have a very sensitive little snoot, and I could smell the smoke really the past 2 days in our basement.
Yeah.
And it's really strange to feel like, is our house on fire? Oh no, the world is just burning around us, and it looks like a scene from Penny Dreadful outside.
Yeah, and so we didn't, prepare to talk about this, so I have zero facts in front of me, which is kind of how we do things, but I have heard that there is, a lack of, forestry oversight by the government. Like, there's no, I don't know, forest husbandry? What do you call that?
They're the only G7 country that doesn't have something in place to deal with this, at least according to a random tweet that I saw.
And that's the extent of our research. You're welcome.
Who wants to read about Canada for any length of time, though?
No thanks.
Yeah, exactly.
What else is going on in our world, Ash?
Well, Iran called, and they want to negotiate.
The whole country picked up the phone and was like, let's make a deal.
Yeah, they want to make a deal. And then Lucy pulls the football out, and CharlieBrown eats shit.
So this is such an apt comparison. Joking aside, it would be funny if it wasn't so embarrassing on a planetary scale, a global scale. The whole of humanity is watching us, biff it every time.
And probably aliens, too.
Yeah, they're laughing, popping popcorn, and whatever the fuck they eat watching us. It's a joke, right? We look like fools, and I don't understand this. This feels so silly and so stupid. It feels like it has to be a red herring.
Yeah.
What is the point here? Because adults don't behave this way on purpose.
And I can get tinfoil hatty, especially because I don't like Trump and I don't like Vance. And what I have seen lately from people on the right that I respect is that they're putting it all on Vance and kind of giving Trump a pass, and that's really frustrating to me because all of us know that, look at past vice presidents. Do you feel, Hannah, that vice presidents that you remember have been given big tasks and trusted with diplomacy and all kinds of things?
I'm going to stop you at vice presidents I remember, because that's my answer. Honestly, like, obviously I know the past few.
Yeah.
I think. So Vance, Biden,
Harris.
Who was vice president the first? Oh, Pence.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing that gets me.
Yeah, and Harris.
Pence was...
I can't, no, I'm sorry for interrupting. I honestly, I can't tell you the vice president for W. I don't remember.
Dick Cheney.
The guy who shot the guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
I love that that's the qualifier because that's exactly what Dick Cheney deserves.
He shot someone in the face.
I will never celebrate anybody's death, but I didn't have anything to say about Dick Cheney, and that's all there is to know about that. Oh, and we should mention, before we get too much in the weeds here or whatever, that Lindsey Graham died.
Yeah, we should. Let's circle back to that because that deserves a few minutes of its own. I'm going to jot this down on our little notepad and we'll come back to it.
So, basically what I wanted to put out there is, like, Mike Pence, in my opinion, was a very capable person. And he, that I remember, wasn't gifted any major things to deal with as vice president. So when you juxtapose him with somebody like Harris, who was called the border czar and given, you fix the border, because A, they knew she wouldn't, and B, they probably didn't want her to be president. This is like two words. All that said, it's kind of funny to me that such a big deal would be given to the vice president. Like, typically, when we have a negotiation like this, who deals with it? It's actually the Secretary of State. And we have a very capable Secretary of State who isn't negotiating this deal, in my opinion, because he never would.
You're talking about Rubio, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I wonder if it's almost like a page out of the playbook of Democrats, like throw border czar on Harris because we don't want her coming back around. Side note, why are we using the word czar anywhere in our government, even as like a casual nickname, whatever? I don't get it. But like maybe it's sort of like that. Like, here's this turd of a situation and we're going to get Vance really involved in it because if it goes sour, we can blame it on him and like just kind of throw it all away at the end of the day. And also keep Rubio out of it because we're pinning all our hopes on him. I can see some strategy there, but really, like, it begs the question, why is the strategy not to just stay out of this situation altogether? Like, just handle this better, and you don't need a fucking scapegoat.
Yeah, and my thinking is all over the place now, because although I don't trust Trump, because of what Hannah just said, you know, it does make sense to me, and I do try to be open-minded. So my thought, if I'm going to give Trump the benefit of the doubt, which I, rarely do these days, but let's try it. What if Tucker Carlson says, pick J.D. Vance, and at that time, he's a trusted advisor of Trump, and Trump does it. And then J.D. Vance is working at the White House, and so is Tucker Carlson's son. And it turns out that Tucker Carlson is leaking things to Iran, and maybe I can't trust any of these people involved. Hannah has a great point that someone really close to you is going to run for president, and maybe he's a little too popular. It's a little too close for comfort. So let's find a way to bury him. That's possible. Mm-hmm. But my other thought is this is also a president who took a plane from Qatar, is taking trillions of dollars from them when they're already flooding our universities with propaganda. And then on top of that, decides that Turkey's not an enemy and we should give them F-35s. You can probably understand why I don't trust Trump, and I'm a little bit annoyed when people say trust Trump, like they're saying in God we trust, that he's somehow playing 4D chess all the time and I just need to trust him. It's like, listen, guys, he's never given me a fiscal conservative policy, and it's the most important thing to in the world to me. So why should I trust him?
I will say, like, this comes up sometimes in our conversations with each other, like, not recording, this idea that, like, oh, Trump has, like, this crazy strategy up his sleeve and is playing, as you said, like, 4D chess. And there were times, especially because I was paying more attention to him and being a little bit more, like, thoughtful and interested in what was actually going on this presidency versus the last one. Mm-hmm. Whereas the last one, it was just sort of like, well, he's the Antichrist. I don't have to pay attention to him. This one, I'm like trying to analyze him a little bit more. And I want to say, like, in the beginning, I was optimistic for sure. And like, there were moments where it was like, no, I think he is playing 4D chess. Like, like
actually bombing Iran when we thought he wouldn't.
Yeah, like whatever the fuck he's doing, whether it's planned or not, he's interesting to watch because he gives this impression just often enough to make you think maybe there's some real genius at play. 90% of the time that's not the case, but he gives you just enough teases of it where I can see how somebody who is susceptible to like putting someone on a pedestal or having like a hero and a politician, I can see how susceptible people fall into this like MAGA Trump derangement syndrome, like Trump worshipping kind of behavior.
Yeah.
He's weird, right?
He is really weird, and I feel like there's a good Trump and a bad Trump. And there are times when like he'll have an idea about mortgages and I'm like, this is a great idea. And then he'll have a completely different idea about quote unquote how to fix a retirement that would be way worse than Social Security. And I'm like, I don't know who this person is. This is scaring me.
He's so unpredictable.
He is unpredictable, and I just can't. Hannah knows this. I think a lot about Melania. I worry about her because I think she's an angel.
You have a big crush on her.
Yeah, I do.
I know.
And I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I've learned to live with it.
But all that said, it's like, imagine being married to a person like this.
I doubt she spends very much time with him, but
I hope
it
not.
would be wild to try to parent with a person like this.
Yeah, he's probably like a male borderline, and he's just like all over the place all the time. And like that said, I try to give him credit when something good happens because I know people accuse me of Trump derangement syndrome. It's like because I don't like people who aren't fiscally conservative, and he's just not. I'm not going to worship the guy like everybody else does. I'm not going to pretend he's infallible when I'm not getting what I want.
Yeah.
So why should I treat him?
And like, you shouldn't worship a president like Lincoln, and you shouldn't demonize a president like FDR. Like, there's shades of gray. If you try to say any president is all or of one type of way or the other, I'm really stumbling on this, but you get what I'm saying. Like, there's no such thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, some are a lot more villainous than others, but there's no like truly horrifying president.
Even
I feel like you're
FDR and Wilson, they're burning in hell right now. But all that said, like, to Hannah's point, I love Ronald Reagan. I love Calvin Coolidge. If you look at both of them, they made mistakes. If I look back at Thomas Jefferson, even if it killed him, I feel like he should have freed his slaves.
George Washington.
George Washington was super tall.
And a ginger.
And that would be real intimidating to me.
Oh, boo!
So, all that said, it's been really this weird back and forth. We don't know what's happening. And, you know, they act like people who want the regime toppled don't really exist. And it's like, I'm one of them. You can call me a warmonger like you would call Lindsey Graham. Maybe I'm more hawkish than other people, but I don't believe in like going around and starting wars all the time. This seems like a pretty big deal to me. They openly want the president of the United States, who I voted for, even though I don't like him, because the alternative was Harris. They want him dead, and they say it openly. And to me, when someone is threatening to assassinate your president, that may as well be a declaration of war in and of itself. They've attacked our ships. They've attacked and kidnapped service members. They've killed service members. They're an enemy. They fund terrorism. How many reasons do you need for this regime to not exist anymore?
I saw something the other day, and you may have posted it because I can't tell you how many times it happens that I'm like, oh, I should tell Ash about this, and it's your post. But I saw a little fact that more people died 1 week in January in Iran than died in an entire year in Gaza. And the fact that you don't hear people talking about that, you're not hearing anything about the humanitarian crisis of it. People are so quick to say we should go in and like flatten Israel and quote unquote free Gaza from the oppressors. But you don't care when the same amount of people die at the hands of a country that calls for our death openly.
Yeah.
And maybe you have your reasons, but you're not stating them. Have the integrity to say why you sympathize with one cause and not the other.
And this is what Hannah always points out, is that it's like teams now.
Absolutely.
So I could give the example that, you know, if Trump wasn't the president, if Obama were president and he were giving F-35s to Turkey, Republicans would be flipping out. Yeah. Especially with the tease of money to them, just like this current administration is doing. What is the difference between what they're doing and what Obama did? Or maybe it's kind of worse, right? And you're not hearing a peep from most pundits on the quote unquote right about this. At the same time, to Hannah's point, these are people who were like, there's a genocide in Gaza. We haven't heard a word from pundits on the left or even a lot of my leftist friends. Like, why don't you care about this situation? Because you weren't told to? And it's happening the same on both sides.
And, like, just as an anecdote, like, obviously there's a lot of different kinds of people in the world, but this is something I encounter every day. So going back to, like, our opening banter here, we were talking about how the air quality in Michigan is some of the worst in the world right now. We've got the Canadian forest fires, and it's uncomfortable, and it's terrible. So I'm talking to somebody this morning, and we're talking about the air quality and how bad it is. It's some of the worst in the world. And he says, I bet it's not worse than the countries that are being bombed right now. And this person is always the first to say, like in one of the many back and forths when we had a peace deal with Iran, like, oh, it's a beautiful day, there's no more war, and like so quick to like virtue signal and like toe the line of like no war, only peace, and all the problems in the world are because we go to war and we pick fights, and like there's no such thing as a just war, and very like leftist ideology. Like, where am I going with this?
That basically, this is the one side that you're hearing every day.
Yeah, and it's like, this is the leftist like sort of representation that I feel like I'm exposed to in this little corner of the country, is that war is bad and like warmongering Republicans need to like chill. And it's like, you're not addressing any of the issues on the table. All you can think to say is that war is bad, and that's a child's argument.
And I gotta say that people like this person, like, because our news is all prescribed to us for the most part. He probably didn't have a word to say when Obama dropped 26,000 tons of bombs on 6 countries, is what I just read yesterday. And all without congressional approval. The drone queen.
I would wager a large bet that this person I'm talking about had no idea that happened, because I have no idea that happened, and I was on the left at the time. I have no idea what you're talking about. I have no idea what countries or when or why. I
always ask people, like, Republicans are warmongers, right? So why did Biden and Clinton vote for the Iraq and Afghanistan wars? And why is it that Obama killed American citizens with drones in these countries, and you guys have never heard of it? It's really eerie the way that they decide what we get. You know what I mean?
They decide the branding, yeah.
Yeah, so it's, you know, you want to say he's the hope and change president, the peace president, and really, the GOP is saying the same thing about Trump, and they really want to get him that Nobel Peace Prize.
So I feel like this is the problem right now with this whole back and forth revolving door to the peace talks with Iran, is that he's so stubborn. I feel like that's something I've learned about him in this last administration. Like he's so stubborn and so stuck on his pride. He wants this on his resume at whatever cost, and he thinks that like just bulldogging it is the way to get it. And it's an easy strategy for Iran to outmaneuver.
Yeah, and to Hannah's point, he is all over the place because at the same time, if you're going to say that you're the peace president, that you're going to bring peace to the Middle East, but you're going to take Greenland, and you're going to take Cuba, and you're going to take Venezuela, it's like, what the hell are you doing?
And justified or not, you have mobilized ICE in a way that nobody has ever done that on your own territory. Like, I'm not saying that it's justified or not. That's a different topic, but like I don't think your presidency has been marked with a lot of peacekeeping events. No. I can't think of any.
No, and we should note that it's kind of funny like to see crime get out of control in all of these major cities, which a lot of the major cities tend to be run by Democrats, but major cities are major cities. Crime happens, there's a lot of people around. And it's like if Trump were to mobilize, say, the National Guard to peacekeep in a city like Chicago, where more people on a holiday weekend are shot than in Iraq and Afghanistan, or
Jesus Christ.
If he were to do that, then all of a sudden, like, he's the big authoritarian. Like, you're really between a rock and a hard place with some of this stuff, and I get that. But it's like, even though they're focused on the brutality of shootings in the streets with ICE, the fact remains that Obama deported more people. Trump might be like heavy-handed about it, or he might be just something we're hearing about because they didn't report it when Obama was president. And think about Elian Gonzalez. Do you remember that story from the Clinton administration?
Oh my God, Elian, I remember this little sweet baby angel.
So basically,
what the fuck ever happened to him?
They plow down the door. He's scared. The pictures are everywhere. And now he is in the communist military, and he's radicalized. Oh my God. They interviewed him, and he's a crazy leftist. And it's like, you kept him here. He might be a baby Rubio.
Poor Elian.
Yeah, it's just...
what have we done to you?
To me, like, think about how much Democrats have changed. To have that administration, Janet Reno was the attorney general, say...
Fucking Janet.
I don't care who you are or that you're, like, a little one. You gotta go back. And now it's like, come on over. Vote if you want. Anyway.
What? I can't believe that. Someone should make a movie about that kid's life. Whatever happened to Elian?
I love that you said that, babe. Because Hannah was a sheltered Jesus camp kid, and she was not allowed probably to watch Saturday Night Live in the middle of the night as a child like I was. And they actually used Chris Kattan as Elian Gonzalez.
Is he the one who did like Mango and stuff?
Yes, and they made a musical called Elian with him, so I'll have to find a clip of that and show you later. Wow. So, let's talk about Lindsey Graham for a minute.
Yeah, let's come back to that, and then we'll close this topic out.
I'll admit I had a love-hate relationship with Lindsey Graham. Sometimes I got him, and sometimes I didn't. And in 2016... he said, "Don't trust Trump, he'll destroy our party." And I thought he and Cruz and Rubio, who were really going whole hog against Trump, were absolutely right. And there were times when I hated him because I didn't understand how you could go so MAGA all of a sudden. But there are times when he pushed back on Trump. Unfortunately, right before he died, he told Trump that Congress would do everything they could to stop him giving Turkey those F-35s.
Oh my God, really?
Yes. And so, although I'm sure he died of natural causes, possibly, he did go to Ukraine. There are some things that are a little suspicious, but at the same time, like, Hannah's in the medical field, and she could tell you that there's an increased stroke risk if you're already have a pre-existing condition and you fly 10 hours.
Yeah, he had a dissecting aortic aneurysm, which I'm not sure how the risk changes with, sitting still for on a 10-hour flight, or if like the altitude pressure changes and stuff affected that, but it seems reasonable to think so. I mean, those things are time bombs, and they can blow at any time, and you have seconds when they do. So to me, it's not an unusual cause of death. The timing is a little
sus.
It's interesting
because he, in the same 24 hours, he said that, and then he called Trump and told him we have the votes to pass the SAVE Act, and then you've got a dead senator,
and then you have Russia officially taking credit for it to some degree, right?
Yes, it's actually the opposition party said that Putin killed him, and at the same time you have Iran taking credit, but they're going to do that on their propaganda network.
Yeah.
So, I mean, anything is possible, and, I don't want to imply what I don't know here.
Allegedly.
Exactly. But all that to say, I think if it's possible that voting could have been secured and he's dead now, whether that's pushed back or that's just done now, it's really disheartening. And I'll say one good thing about Lindsey Graham, because I don't want to just end with, he's a dead senator and I had a love-hate relationship with him like I know a lot of people would. He actually was the poorest member of Congress. And that makes me trust someone more than I ever thought I would trust Lindsey Graham. And he was probably a good shit in that way. So for that reason, he'll be missed. And I'm sorry he's gone.
Well, I didn't know much about him, and when I went to go jot down his name for our topic, I realized I both did not know how to spell Lindsey or Graham. But I know I respect Ash's opinion on these things, obviously, and if she had nice things to say about him, that makes me feel sorry for his loss. And I think, to your point, the fact that he was the poorest member of Congress, I think that speaks volumes. It seems like everybody is just lining their pockets when they have the ability to do so. And, kind of gives me some hope if there was somebody who didn't.
Yep. And my favorite memory of him was when they blocked the the individual mandate for Obamacare. Somebody stuck a microphone in his face and asked how he sleeps at night. And he goes, "Better now." And then somebody cut in 50 cents PIMP. And he just gives a dazzling smile and walks away like that meme of Leonardo DiCaprio, so happy. And it was the funniest thing I had seen in a long time. So that will stay with me.
You know how you're always in the moment and you want a comeback, but you don't think of it till 10 minutes later. So sometimes you prepare and I'm gonna store this one up for later. Somebody asked me how I sleep at night for some reason. I'm gonna be like, well, I'm a side sleeper actually, and I have a mouth guard because I grind my teeth.
And my answer will be baclofen.
Muscle relaxers. Good.
What else is going on here in Michigan, Hannah?
Yeah, local topics get local work. Let's talk about Michigan. And we bring this up because this morning I realized that this is a national conversation at this point. We have a gubernatorial race?
No, this one is Senate.
Senate race, thank you. That is kind of catching everybody's eye.
Yeah, so Abdul El-Sayed is challenging Haley Stevens. Haley Stevens is, they're saying, New York Times, a pro-Israel candidate to try to make that the focus, but I call her the normie candidate. And then Abdul El-Sayed is I'm a socialist and I want Medicare for all, and also I maybe take some donations from terrorists. And even though I pretend I am just a poor, regular, working class person, my wife makes $650,000 a year and does not accept Medicare patients.
Now, cost of living varies greatly state to state, and professions in healthcare vary greatly in income. I want to say that previous jobs of mine, when they are for-profit status, or I'm sorry, when they're not for-profit status, when you have a 403B instead of a 401k, though anyone who works in like the administration at those companies, their income is public record.
Oh.
So you can log on and see a W-2 for what they earned from the company. When I'm talking like CEO, CFO, the really higher ups. So for some perspective, I don't think, the Michigan-based healthcare system that I worked for, the CEO of that company, I don't think made as much as they claim his wife makes as a psychiatrist.
Well, and here's the problem. They paid capital gains tax, and this is a person who claims he doesn't believe in capitalism, and he has real estate investments. He has a net worth that is well into the millions, and he's actually one of the 1%.
So like there's a list of issues we have with him. And we can start with that. We can start with his wife, because that's like the most minor thing. You can't necessarily control your spouse. Whatever. She makes more than she should in this state. It doesn't add up to me. As a healthcare provider, I don't understand how she can make what she makes. She doesn't accept Medicare when her husband is calling for Medicare for all. But she won't accept those type of patients because she wants more money.
Yeah.
And that's just the tip of the iceberg. He's not showing his tax returns.
Right, and not all of them. He's shown parts, but it's not
It's not full transparency like it should be.
Correct.
Let's talk about the Medicare for all for a second.
Okay.
This is the biggest red flag for us, right? Because it throws the burden back on the taxpayer. And is there any kind of proposed plan for how we would pay for this?
All he does is make a promise, which his supporters claim they can explain. He claims that he can do all of this, very Mondami-esque, by not raising any taxes.
Right, so this reminds me of Mondami in that way. Like free grocery stores, free bus fare, blah, blah, blah.
Which is why the Haley Stevens campaign has come up with a genius slogan, which is, "Don't Mondami my Michigan." Which I like very much.
No, that's hilarious. I love that.
And, like, it should be noted that, like, I already voted, and I voted for their opponents on the Republican side. But at the same time, I would rather it be secure enough that he's not anywhere near that seat, that Haley Stevens wins this. I would rather have a fair and square, election between the normie candidate and Mike Rogers than...
Right, so that's like the big topic of conversation when I saw that New York Times article today, and I'm looking at the comment section. A lot of people are arguing about which one of them, between Stevens and El Sayed, whichever one wins, who can beat the GOP, because it's like a leftist following of that page.
So because that's a leftist page, they would rather see El Sayed win because he is technically polling better than her, than have Mike Rogers win.
Well, yeah, and then you have that mix of opinions of, like, who could actually beat Mike Rogers, and you have, like, leftists saying, like, it better be Stevens, because if it's Syed, like, we lose the state altogether. And it's interesting watching the argument from the other side.
Yeah, definitely, like, I am seeing people who do not live in this state both stump for this guy, like, give him endorsements, like people who aren't from here. He's taken money from 2 Texas billionaires and George Soros, which might explain some of their income, actually.
Sure. Yeah.
But additionally, I'm seeing people, like I said, who are not affected by this election, encourage people to vote for him because they said Rogers will beat him. That's not what the polling shows. I don't really trust polls, but I don't want to take that chance.
No, it's not a dice roll I want. I would rather have a decent Democrat win if it's a tight race between a Democrat and a Republican than risk, like you said, don't Mondami my Michigan. This feels... I'm a little worried by how much support I see from him. Like, I know we don't want that to be the case, and we talk like it isn't, but I feel like there is a lot of support out there. I feel like there's a lot of support.
If it's any indication, I know this is just anecdotal and might not be very comforting, but I still typically see more leftist posts on X than I do right-wingers. Like, to me, back from when it started, it always felt like a more leftist platform. And in comments, I see way more Democrats attacking him than I do supporting him on X.
Okay.
And then additionally, there's a guy who goes by Blue Dog Democrat who on one of his posts pointed out, like, he's like, they have the money, trying to imply he doesn't take any money from PACs, even though...
Oh, I want to talk about this.
Even though Stevens points out he's taken a lot of money from pro-Islamist PACs, for one thing. That he doesn't take any of this money, and she's got the money, but we've got the many, which also sounds very commie to me.
Oh, it's extremely commie.
And this Blue Dog Democrat account, points out, it's like, there are like 10 likes on this post. Like, no, you don't.
I want to talk about this more, though, because the main point of contention and the main conversational focus on all this stuff I was seeing this morning is not what these people do or don't stand for. Mm-hmm. It is almost exclusively that she is pro-Israel, as they put it, and people saying, of course she's doing well when she gets AIPAC money. Now, for the first time in the fucking history of the country, people have an issue with PACs when it's AIPAC.
Only AIPAC.
Only AIPAC. They don't say, on both sides, they don't say shit about any other PAC or super PAC that I've ever heard of. It's like, for the first time, the dawn of knowledge upon the miscreant, retards of America have learned about PACs, but only one of them.
Well, and it reminds me, the same is true, not just of like this kind of funding, super PACs, but the money that flows into the country, even lobbyists, you name it. If it's from Israel, they have a ton to say, and they're not even in the top 10 of countries throwing money at us. There's no mention by whether it's a Democrat or it's somebody like Tom Massey of Qatar or of China. And China is the biggest one. Mm-hmm. And Qatar is not far behind. But they won't mention that because they take money from them.
I feel like there's no quicker way to tip me off to the fact that you are an inbred, mouth-breathing idiot than to start mentioning Mossad or AIPAC.
Yep.
And it's like, tell me you're obsessed and racist bigot without telling me you're an obsessed racist bigot.
So I have started replying in a certain way to AIPAC posts. Okay. And these are only on blue check accounts while I do this because, Hannah just pointed out the type of responses you'd get if you did this to like a regular account from like where we grew up or something. But on these blue check accounts, I will point out the A in AIPAC is American. Mm-hmm. These are American voters, this is an American organization. Mm-hmm. So do you believe that American Jews and their allies do not have a say in our elections? Are you that much of a bigot? Never gotten a single response to that because they don't know how to handle it. And so I've started to say also, I love AIPAC. It supports all of my interests as an American Jew. And they don't know what to do with that either. So on a local post, I say local as in Michigan. Mm-hmm. I said I love AIPAC. And there were tons of people who like called me a Zionist pig and basically like attacked me. But then there were a ton of other people who said, I don't have a problem with AIPAC. What would be wrong with AIPAC? And they just started questioning it.
And I'll say this, if you do have a problem with AIPAC and you want to have like a normal, rational conversation or you want to make some normal, rational points about that, tell me why you have a problem with that
only
political action committee and not any others.
Yeah.
Not a single other one bothers you.
Because I always point out,
call it what it is.
I don't think we should have super PACs. I don't think we should have all this money in our elections. Sure. I believe in reform. But as long as there are pro-Islamist super PACs, I should have an answer to that.
Absolutely.
We need to at least
if you're gonna
try
allow
to level.
Some, you have to allow one like this that, like, to your point, supports American Jewish interests.
And if you have questions about the way it works, I think, in Congress, you should watch a movie from the 90s, which I'm sure we've mentioned before, The Distinguished Gentleman with Eddie Murphy, for a fun spin that maybe will allow you to understand but put down the seriousness of it at the same time.
I remember, so I'll just say one more thing on it, because the point of the article that kicked this whole conversation off and what like bothered me and stayed with me all day today is that the focus of this race is that it is a shocking and newsworthy thing that a Democrat is pro-Israel. Yeah. They're not representing almost anything else about her politics or her platform, her plans for the state. They're focusing on the fact that she's pro-Israel. We talked at length about how I grew up in an extremely fundamentalist, Christian, isolated sort of culture, very Jesus campy. The concept of Israel existing was a big deal in that circle. They're God's people. Anyone who goes against Israel goes against God. There's Bible verses that reiterate this, to the point where, like, it was astounding to me to grow up and realize that certain Christians had feelings about Jews that were negative, because it's like, no, it's right here in the Bible. So to obviously have put a lot of space in between that type of childhood and where I am today, and have done a lot of like growth, I've met a lot of different people. I'm not in that circle anymore. To hear people in this world today in 2026 in a secular political setting being obsessed with the existence of Israel the way they are, it's laughable to me.
It exists.
It exists, dude. We decided it half a century ago. We're almost, like coming up on 80 years ago.
So here's my question too.
Why are you so obsessed with me?
Imagine that you're a progressive Democrat in the year, let's say, 2000. And I want to tell you about a political candidate that I support. And the political candidate is pro-gay. Mm-hmm. He supports civil unions in the year 2000. He likes the idea of democracy. He's a Democrat, and he is all about unity between different cultures and how we can all get along together. So as somebody who, as a young person was a Democrat, do you feel like I said anything negative?
No, it sounds like a little suspiciously naive, but it sounds like a good start. It sounds like goodwill.
To me, that's the state of Israel. Mm-hmm. And the idea that Democrats don't support that anymore, when it's the only place in the region that has civil unions and where Muslims are doctors and members of parliament, and the population before October 7th in Palestine was 0% Jewish, but there's plenty of Muslims and plenty of Christians who live and coexist peacefully in Israel. You don't want those people in charge of the rest of it, but they are somehow the dangerous ones. Yeah. It makes zero sense to me.
It makes zero sense to me to be so obsessed about like, as you say, a country that, like, presumably shares your values as a leftist. They're a socialist country. They have pride parades. They have diversity. They have women's rights. I understand. I want to give grace and margin for people who are just getting the wrong news. I think there are plenty of people who just, and I've been there too. Like you buy the line that you're sold, and it's easy to do. It's not weak. It's not necessarily weakness of mind or intelligence. Yeah. Like, it's an easy trap to fall into. And there are plenty of people who just don't know better.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would investigate more, but like I think that's innocent enough. But these like rabid people who go out of their way to say all these things online, blaming Mossad and like Israel is the reason there's war in the world, period, and like all this ridiculous shit. Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah. It's so funny to me that this has become the norm. Like, for example, I don't know if it was a bot or not, you know? I had somebody that claimed to be a rabbi, but you see a lot of this, like...
Yeah.
You know...
Anyone can say anything
like,
behind a keyboard.
Like, quote, as a Jew stuff. Mm-hmm. So, like, who knows? But, it was basically the person said, they want to sell you the lie of a Muslim invasion because Zionism has already done it. And I said, so what part of Israel being a country has invaded us, a separate sovereign nation? Because Zionism is the mere belief that Israel should exist. Mm-hmm. So, like, what you're saying doesn't even really make sense. But you're just you read it somewhere, so you're just gonna perpetuate it.
And I'll tell you what makes even less sense. That a Senate race in God's own handprint, Michigan, somehow has something to do with the presence of a Middle Eastern country's right to exist. Riddle me that. Like, What the fuck? You have decades of politicians on both sides of the aisle that acknowledge and like don't really make a fuss over the fact that a country exists. Mm-hmm. This has not been a Republican or Democrat issue for a long time, and now all of a sudden it's newsworthy that you have somebody in blue who doesn't have a problem with the fact that a country that has existed for 80 years continues to exist.
Yeah, and really...
And now we're all going to talk about it and have, like, this big, wild, divisive conversation about it?
And if... One of our listeners actually pointed this out. He pointed out that there's an X account called APAC Tracker that likes to post, the so-called amount of money, which I have read is totally made up, under all of these candidates, including Haley Stevens.
This has Charlie Rose vibes with less journalistic integrity.
Exactly. That this guy is based out of Germany. That he doesn't even know anything about the United States, and he just like makes up these memes basically to try to discredit people.
Whoops, Germany did it again.
And like, this is the kind of crap that you're seeing. For people who want to believe it, they just will. Yeah,
and I mean, like, maybe I'm the one fanning the flames here. I think that's what it is. You hate, like I said earlier, maybe 5-10 minutes ago, call it what it is. You hate Jews.
Yeah.
You hate Jews, and you feel like this is the way to say it.
Yeah. I had a guy comment on an X post today. I don't know if we should say the K word on this podcast or not.
Let's not.
But he was K word Hunter was his name.
The class is just overwhelming.
It's just wafting over us. And
how can that be? Is that a bot? How can that be possibly fucking real?
So basically, and he was another one not based here, right? But pretending to be
based where?
An American.
Could you tell?
It was like Bulgaria or some shit. So basically, he spelled the I was an exclamation point because he didn't want to get flagged for anything.
Very
right?
Clever.
And he basically asked when I was getting on the train to Auschwitz.
Oh, sir, I don't know the last time you looked at a map.
And he basically said that I'd be like the makings of a great soap. So I said...
This implies that he knows about soap.
Yeah, exactly, right? So I said, never, because you're a pussy and you could never put me on a train. But all that said, it's like, this is the kind of thing that...
Oh, have you heard of soap in your country?
And... this time a real rabbi commented and he goes, what would you know about soap, you unwashed miscreants? And he came to my defense.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Rabbi.
Yes, exactly. All that said, it's like, you don't even know who's attacking you. It's like how Tom Massey was sure he was going to win that election when he had one singular focus, which became Jews. So we're such a small people. Why are you so obsessed with us?
Why are you so obsessed with us? It doesn't make any sense. And there are so many more, like, as a Michigander, there are things that need to be addressed, namely the fucking wildfires in Canada. But, like, let's talk about things that matter to people who live in Michigan. Like, I'm sorry, it's a line that we all say in our most heavy Midwest accent, and it bears repeating because I won't say the GD word on this show out of respect for Ash, but GD, fix the damn roads.
Fix the damn roads.
The potholes here are on a Bosnia level. And if we, like, fix the damn roads.
Yeah. That's all we want.
I don't give a shit about Israel. I don't think most taxpayers in this state are seriously, they're not voting for world politics here. We're voting for Michigan.
And you want the grocery prices to come down.
Yeah, bring the gas down. Bring the groceries down. Fix the damn roads.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. It's usually what you talk about at your kitchen table, and unless you're married to me like Hannah is, we don't even talk about foreign policy at the kitchen table. And then
in this house, that's all we talk about.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Sorry, you've taught me a lot.
All right, so moving on to our final topic. Some weird, crazy ex-Marine who was a write-in candidate for the Florida House.
Now I've heard everything.
Was just arrested because he threatened to kill Trump.
Oh.
William Upham or Upham?
Upham.
Upham.
The B is silent.
The B is silent. So, William Upham or whatever, he basically got in his uniform. Always a great sign that something great is about to happen when you're an ex-Marine. And he made a video and he said, this is a call to arms. And basically that people needed to rise up, overthrow the government, and kill Trump on behalf of God. 2 shots to the head? No, 2 shots to the body and 1 to the head.
2 shots to the chest and 1 to the head. He was quoted as saying, a very high chance of death. I'll say.
And he told,
you learned that in the military?
He told people to get AR-15s and rise up. And that Trump is the Antichrist, basically. So the funny part to me is that he said that Trump will die at his hand at the time that God chooses. And Hannah had a great point. Why does God need your help?
Well, yeah, I mean, the fact that he said that he was doing this call to violence on behalf of God, I'm sorry. When was the last time we had to do anything on God's behalf? And God, he's not an invalid in the sky calling out orders.
And real talk, if God wanted Trump dead, wouldn't he have just let the bullet that hit him go a little bit further in toward his head? Because it might be more efficient.
See, Ash, if you were a Christian, like I was, this would be the beginning of a very long and wondrous journey for you.
Well, I used to be a Christian, but it still wouldn't have made sense to me because I was like, I didn't even really understand what Christianity was. Sometimes when I tell Hannah about my brand, she's like, yeah, you never were a Christian. Yeah, you don't make any sense.
Not by the standards I was raised. And listen, like, in joking aside, in all fairness, I'm not, despite, like the road that led me here to today, like, I have no ill will toward Christians. I think faith is a beautiful thing, and I want the people who have it to keep it, and like, I respect it. I don't share in it, but I respect it.
Yeah, and I have that same thing.
But it does seem like a convenient excuse for a lot of crazy people also.
Well, it's the same with any religion, really. I mean, like, we get the same...
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, religion, God in general is like... there is a lot of beauty and, like, good things that come out of that, but there's a lot of crazy people using it as an excuse to do what they want.
Whether it's the devil made me do it or God made me do it. How about you made a decision?
Accountability.
Yeah, and this is why you know, it's going to sound weird, but I hope the guy had a psychotic break or something, because otherwise you're just a real jerk to try to blame God for doing something that it's like the majority of Americans voted for this guy. So even if I disagree with him and don't like him a lot of the time, I still don't think it's right for this guy to decide that his personal beliefs are God's will.
Yeah, like it's an old saying, like anyone who believes that they speak for God, like that's a watch that person with both eyes.
Blasphemer.
So, did we say this already? He was a write-in candidate for Florida.
Yeah. And to me, I always wonder with stuff like this, like how many votes did he get? Is it one of those situations where they say Power Ranger star commits suicide and there was like a guy with a walk-on role? They just want to make it seem like a bigger deal. So I don't know how seriously he was as a candidate, but he was like a state's attorney, I think.
Was he really?
Yeah. I think right at the beginning of the article, which is from The Guardian, by the way, if you want to read it, they said he was a write-in.
A former Marine and former state prosecutor.
Yeah, it's just, I think it's possible. I was watching a video on LinkedIn. Yes, that is how sad my work days are sometimes. And the guy was talking about the professions with the most burnout. And one of the very highest on the list was attorneys. So they also have the highest instance of alcoholism. And my thought is,
I thought that was medical lab scientists.
There's a lot that can... She's just drinking tequila saying this.
Tequila and grapefruit juice on my Paloma.
And I have an ulcer, so I've given it up. But all that to say, like, with the Charlie Kirk trial going on and everything like that, I had a discussion with some of my Twitter folks, and we just talked about how volatile everything has gotten, how people are way more violent than they used to be, and it's really disheartening that it seems like people can't see a whole person anymore. They just, see what they think your team is.
Yeah. It's interesting that this guy, in his brief, short career in politics, he was a Republican candidate. And like all this talk about the Antichrist and everything and how Trump is supposedly it. It's funny to me because I remember when Trump did like get shot, the ear thing, everybody on the left, and this was the weirdest thing to me. All of a sudden, all these people, extreme leftists, were bringing up Bible verses about how like a near fatal wound to the head or whatever was like a sign of the Antichrist, that he would have a scar that wounded him but didn't kill him on his head. And it was like, yes, I too can Google Bible verses. It was so weird to me that the whole of the left decided to come together and throw this in the face of the right because they just assume that everyone who is conservative is a Christian who buys into this shit. Yeah. And it's like, well, you sound as crazy as anybody else I've ever talked to. I don't give a shit about the Antichrist or the passages of Revelation that were written hundreds of years after the time of Christ by who knows who.
And would you say that your ear is your head, or is it just your ear?
I mean, it's a technicality that bothers me. I wasn't going to bring it up, but it bothers me.
Because when
a near fatal wound would be a shot to the head.
Or, some sort of like somebody tries to bludgeon you or something, and you recover. Yeah. To me, that, it wasn't near fatal. Yeah. I mean, if it moved slightly, it would have been fatal, so maybe that's a technicality, as she points out, near fatal. But getting your ear, like, clipped, that's not going to kill you.
No, and I take your point. Like, if it had been an inch or two the other direction, maybe that would be a different story. But, like, I don't think we can call an ear near fatal. And it's a tiny feature of the whole issue, but it bothers me. It bothers me, and I think about it.
Well, anyway.
So what does this mark? Like, gosh, I wonder what the average amount of attempts that get thwarted for president are. And I'm curious how Trump's two presidencies have stacked up to the average.
I think I read that Gerald Ford had the second most attempts, and Trump has blown him out of the water. And it's because he pardoned Nixon.
Wow. Yeah, that's an interesting indicator of how times have changed.
Yeah. So, all that to say, don't go killing people. Honestly, seeing the ex-lover of Tyler Robinson say in court that one of the first things Tyler Robinson said to him was, "I wish I hadn't done it." You're gonna throw your life away for something that you're never gonna change. So just get real and calm down.
Yeah, I mean, joking aside, it's easy to see represented in art and media and real life tragic cases like the one Ash just talked about. Like, taking a life you can talk yourself into seeing it as like a glorious, noble thing. I don't think it almost ever works out that way for people.
And I think if you're
tragic and expensive.
Yeah, and if you're having any kind of if you're in a weird spot, I recommend watching Death by Lightning.
Yeah,
I feel like...
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, it's a really good Netflix
original.
And like a limited series, right? Mm-hmm. And it's with Michael Shannon, who's a great actor, even though he hates conservatives, and Matthew McFadden, who, in my opinion, was the best Mr. Darcy.
He is Darcy. And fucking Ron Swanson, Nick Offerman.
Nick Offerman's great in it. But I really recommend watching it because it kind of puts it in context. If you're somebody who kills a president, who, in this case, the guy did, I didn't even know his name, and I've already forgotten it.
And I'm glad for it.
Yeah, exactly. So.
Because, it doesn't matter. Like, when you're watching that, you have the protagonist and the antagonist, and I think there may have been some intentions to make you want to identify with the antagonist. Mm-hmm. And for me, at least, it didn't work.
Yeah.
And instead, you have an antagonist that you forget what party he's from. You, to some degree, forget the nuances of his politics, and you instead remember his office and that he cared about people and that he tried his best at a difficult job. And I think it is kind of a beautiful and sad reminder of what we seem to be collectively throwing away as a culture.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see Michael Shannon, who is a leftist, play a Republican with grace and respect, I thought. Mm-hmm. And also, it seems as though James Garfield was probably one of our best presidents, and he would have been great if given the opportunity.
And I think that's the interesting end of it, is we don't know if he would have been great. We don't know if we would have been disappointed in him or thought he was one of our best. And that's the real tragedy, is I think his wife says it, we have no fucking idea who he would have been.
Yeah.
And he will be a forgettable president because of what someone decided to do.
Yep, but absolutely no one will remember the assassin because he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, I don't. I remember I was upset that they even mentioned his name at all, but true to the predictions that you see in the film, or I should say in the series, I don't remember his name, and I'm glad for it, and I don't want to.
If I heard it, I'd probably be like, "Oh yeah," but
I don't think so. I'm sure it was common. Anyway,
thank you guys for listening to episode 38. I know that everything going on, the back and forth with Iran, it's been a lot, and it can drive you crazy. So just remember, when you can breathe the air, to get outside and spend time with your loved ones and do whatever you can to have fun on the weekends, because we're in a crazy time where it's a 24-hour news cycle and you hear about weird bullshit all day long.
Yeah, I think we had a weird time, especially, in this part of the country. We had extreme heat warnings on Monday.
Taco Bell diarrhea.
There is cyclosporidia spreading through our state. Explosive diarrhea plague, parasite. And then we have, this air quality issue and the fires in Canada. We have these really divisive and stressful ads when it comes to like the Stevens El Sayed race. And like without like going into it, like we had a hard week. I think it got to both of us in different ways, and like it's important to remember people are people, and I don't think human nature has changed. It's just wearing a different outfit, and we will persist.
And if you play Duolingo or learn that way, the outfit is probably a soccer uniform from a terrorist country, because they're doing this whole World Cup tie-in, and all I get when I complete something is a Tunisian or Moroccan little soccer outfit. So strange.
I did say to Ash, I think last night, like, we've been doing this like FIFA, whatever. We're talking about Duolingo at this point. We've been doing this like FIFA challenge for a while now.
Yeah.
And we've gotten a lot of different countries' uniforms every day that you have the chance for your little avatar to wear. I've never seen anyone wearing the Israel uniform.
No. And I had been wearing the USA one the entire time, and then I just put on Argentina because I love Milieu.
Yeah, I wore USA for 4th of July, and then a country that's in my family tree, like my family heritage, popped up, so I've been wearing that one since, because I don't feel too hot about some of the other ones. But anyway, all that to say, I know the political climate can be tough, and it can be stressful, and it can get to you. It got to us. There's a lot going on in the world, but the sun comes up tomorrow, and people don't change. The situations are the only things that change.
And our poll question changes. And this time our poll question is, do you believe that the wildfire in Canada will be caused by A, climate change, B, their lack of deforestation, controlled burns, or C, arson?
D, all of the above. Is that our poll for real?
Yeah, why not?
Okay, yeah, we'll post it. Let us know what you guys think. Hit us up in the comments. We have our email address.
It's red, white, and the word by @gmail.com. Red, white, and by @gmail.com.
Let us know what you're thinking. Are you affected by these fires right now? Do you give a shit about what happens in the Michigan Senate race?
How do you think, how crazy, scale of 1 to 10, is this Trump threat guy?
Would you ever consider being a write-in candidate for Florida?
I mean, I would.
All right, guys. Thank you, and we'll talk to you in 2 weeks.
Bye.
Bye.